Hello and welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. As you can see, it's casual Friday for me. Just come into the office, figured I'd sit back a little bit and make a lot of phone calls. We're still kind of in that shift period, and we don't have everybody in. In fact, I don't think there's anybody in today except for you.
Yeah, actually, I had to come in obviously because I had some internet issues at the house yesterday, and they cannot repair them until come Monday. So and I came in also in honor of Halloween. Our last video before Halloween takes place on Sunday the 31st, of course, and this is part of my son's costume, if you were wondering. These are not functional goggles, I guess, unless I'm popping balloons at a party. But you know, it looks costumey, so I figured, what the heck.
Great. Well, I'm glad you have the spirit, because I'm full of Grouch Grinch when it comes to Halloween, except for the kiddies.
And now I'm going to take these off because they're totally messing up my face, and I can't see without real glasses. There we go. So, but anyhow, yes, acknowledgement of Halloween on a cold, blustery day in Ohio. So.
Excellent. Well, yeah, and it is. We're certainly feeling it. It's going to be a real Halloween as opposed to we've had most of this fall. But rain all week, and I know there's been a lot of rain across the Midwest as well. Slowing things down for folks who are moving pretty well on harvest, but regionally it's kind of all over the place, isn't it? Some are practically done, some are still still have a pretty serious percentage to go, but rain's kind of put the brakes on some things.
Well, but since you bring it up, thank you for the segue, because I actually did have a number, or actually a couple of figures I was looking up. It was like you, I was curious how the harvest is going nationwide, and I did run across some numbers on that. The corn harvest actually, Paul, is going quite well at 55% through October 27th. The average at that date is usually 46%. So actually corn harvest is going quite well. Soybeans not doing as well, only at 43% nationwide. And the average on the October 27th date is usually 45%. So corn going a little better than expected, soybean a little slower than expected. So we'll have to see how these numbers play out over the next couple of weeks, but I will be providing updates as I can find them, of course.
Yep. Yeah, and it just, so curious about how this is going to play out next year with fertilizer prices. Fertilizers obviously going to influence what folks are planting corn wise, and it's so ridiculous that you just you wonder if you're going to see really a wholesale shift away from it if there's just no way to pencil it out intelligently.
Since you bring that up, I know I've been crunching all the numbers from our CropLife 100 surveys, and I don't have the final numbers on the planting intentions for next year pinned down just yet. However, I have noted, as I've been entering stuff into the database, that a lot of people are expecting the soybean percentages to go up between 5 and 9% in terms of planting in 2022, and expecting corn to drop off about 1 to 5%. So based on that, yes, it looks like what the ag retailers in our survey are telling us based on their grower intentions for next year, looks like there will be some significant shifts to soybean from corn in certain parts of the country.
Yeah, and I think you hold on to optimism as long as you possibly can, and that number may shift if these prices continue. I know when I fill out surveys like that, I'm always trying to be as hopeful as I can be, figuring, the worst could happen, but it probably won't. But it's hard to imagine, given the global nature of this and in the supply chain, and what's happening politically in China and India and elsewhere as far as prices. You just wonder what's gonna shake this thing free, what's really going to change. And everything I've seen from the experts is that it probably won't. So I think it's going to continue to shift in ways that maybe we haven't seen in a long time, if ever.
So I think you have some news to share a little bit about a promotion going on in the marketplace, correct?
Oh, you talking about the Vision Conference, or did I miss something? Oh, yes. We noticed that, it was was a little bit of a surprise when Chuck Magro left Nutrien, right? That was not that long ago, and was replaced. Now he's Corteva and heading up Corteva, which is, it's interesting. Nutrien being is integrated as it is, and having so many different aspects to it. I mean, it seems like it's a natural fit, knowing where the channel is and where it's headed, and it being head of one of the larger organizations, to come to Corteva and have that perspective going in. It'll be interesting to see how the company runs going forward, but certainly interesting to see him land there.
Yeah, no, I also think, I mean, again, it'll be interesting to see how you go from a company where you primarily focused on crop nutrition to crop protection. But again, he has experience heading up a major ag company, and that will not change. And again, our best to Jim Collins as he steps aside. I know he was a good guy we've talked to over the years as well. And of course, like everyone else who was retired in the last year or so that we've known for the last 20, he will be missed.
You bet, sir. So what else is going on?
Well, you did mention vision. You got any updates on that, or just are we still looking for folks to make their way to Phoenix in January, which sounds like a terrible trip to make? And I'm being very sarcastic. So.
Phoenix in January, we're all dreading it. So yeah, it's we're plugging along. We're getting good response from speakers that really want to speak. We've got a couple of the keynotes lined up, and fine tuning the sessions. I think sustainability and carbon are certainly of interest. Data, quality data and data management are of interest. We're talking about soil and soil health, and kind of some of the gaps in the data that we have there, and the information and what we need to do to fill those in, and have a panel lined up for that. So, in the next couple of weeks, I think we're really looking at having that completely finalized as far as an agenda. So, again, we'd love to see some of you there that are really interested in where technology is headed. In the next 3 to 5 years, and the Vision Conference is a great place to go to get that information. So keep an eye on our website, thevisionconference.com, and look for updates as we get them, because they're going to come fast and furious here before we hit Thanksgiving time.
Sounds good, Paul. So one other thing, Paul, to mention, you've heard about the chlorpyrifos proposed ban from EPA. Actually, now we've found out that there are 80 ag groups that plan to object to this formally, including the American Farm Bureau Federation and the American Soybean Association, saying that if this product is taken off the market and no longer being able to be used by agriculture, that it could add up to $100 million in costs to the food and ag sectors going forward. And of course, as everybody has been talking about inflation and higher costs for pretty much everything, $100 million is not a number to be dismissed lightly, I suspect. So we'll see what comes of that.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in DC when they went through the re-registration back in the early 90s, early 2000s. And but that product was looked up and down, examined, re-examined, and uses were, I thought were right-sized and pretty well justified based on what we saw. So it's unfortunate we see these products get shipped away. I think there's ways there. I'm positive there's ways to use these products responsibly, and they're very valuable to agriculture. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they can make some headway here, but it's just unfortunate. It's just the way things have gone for the core products that we use in agriculture, and just have to continue to try to fight to hold on to them.
Yeah, I agree, Paul. I know I did an article not too long ago where it basically talked about all the targets on every product's backs these days from basically any group that will object. And, if it sort of seems at times as if they took every product off the market where there was an objection to it being on the market, there would be no products left. This would be, I don't know, smacking the bugs off the leaves by hand. So not a prospect I look forward to. Those stink bugs are pretty nasty. I get them in my house all the time.
Yeah, it's not a job I'm volunteering for anytime soon either. So, so I think there's probably one other thing you want to do, and I'm
yes,
gonna ask you about it anyway. Even though I don't.
Yes, Paul, your favorite segment of our show, Fun with Numbers. So it's a nice little number again this week, Paul, 17%. And your clue would be U.S. education system. And believe me, this will tie to ag eventually, but that is your clue. And the number again, 17%.
Send your hate mail defending me to Eric Sfiligoj. Okay. God.
Just think about the last year and a half, 2 years, and it should give you a clue as what this number might represent and why that might mean something to our friends in agriculture.
Come on, man. I don't know. Cuts in ag education.
No, I'm sorry, Paul. As you know, when COVID first struck, of course, a lot of the school systems across the country shut down, sent the kids homeschooling. And of course, I know there were a lot of folks in agriculture that had been selling on a regular basis their produce to the schools across the country that then were utilized in school lunch programs. So just, I ran across a number the other day, 17% represents the drop in school meals over the last year that have actually been distributed to U.S. school children. So the 17% drop because of the pandemic. And of course, a lot of that impacted our friends in agriculture because, tomatoes and other vegetables and soy products are all on school lunch program menus. So there was no demand because there were no students, but hoping this year the number will be a little bit better. But yeah, for the 2021 season, which I guess ran through like June of last year or this year, sorry, there was a 17% drop. So.
Yep. Yeah. Like it or not, it's certainly a program that supports agriculture, that puts food on the table. So it's too bad, but yeah, hopefully we'll get it back.
Yep. So that is all I have this Halloween weekend. So everybody have a safe Halloween. Enjoy seeing all the kiddies. I know that my son, they had a Halloween event at his school last weekend. And I know one of the cutest outfits I saw was on a little 2-year-old girl. She was dressed as a cupcake. That was freaking adorable.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. We're, as I say, we were in a very tight suburb of lots of houses. So we, I'm sure that, I buy 15 to 20 bags of candy and I'll probably run out with a half hour to go because it's always a mad rush. It's fun.
15 to 20. Wow, I usually can get by in about 6 to 8. So that's impressive, Paul.
Yeah, it's it's something. Well, that's it for this edition of CropLife Retail. We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next week.
If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below.
Your feedback is important to us. We'll try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode.
And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.